It's the battle of energy versus the environment. On one side, oil and gas companies.
Fracking wells have got to go.
On the other, activists worried about the consequences of America's thirst for fuel. And now a new opponent is ruffling the feathers of the energy industry. This is the lesser prairie chicken, a bird that could change the energy landscape in 5 states. Dwindling population numbers have made wildlife authorities consider adding this bird to the endangered species list.
So how can one small species of bird take on an entire energy industry in 5 states? Well, it turns out these chickens are a little chicken when it comes to choosing a place to live. They prefer to be able to see everything around them. So a big oil rig like this can be rather intimidating. They prefer to live in really low grasslands, just high enough for them to be able to hide, but still low enough for them to be able to see everything around them. And that fact has the energy industry scared because putting these chickens on the endangered species list could shut down oil rigs like this.
Kansas is a top 10 oil and gas producing state, both in oil and in natural gas production.
Meet Ed Cross, Director of Communication for the Kansas Independent Oil and Gas Association and one of the lesser prairie chicken's natural predators.
And I think the species and things like that could very well impact the oil production and the energy production of this nation.
Adding the lesser prairie chicken to the endangered species list could cost the Kansas economy $3 billion in annual family income. Income for an industry that oil farmers describe as mom and pop shops, far from the reaches of BP or ExxonMobil.
I've got a company called Bear Petroleum, and what we are, we're a drilling and exploration and production company, and we keep these stripper wells in Kansas running. We've got 560 wells in the state, and we've got about 400 plus barrels of oil and a couple million cubic feet of gas.
And the oil and gas industry isn't alone.
If they list them, it's going to make it more difficult for the wind energy to develop. It could change where transmission lines go through, which would increase the cost for transmission lines.
It would also hurt the farmers since the lands these birds nest on would be protected. The range of land that the lesser prairie chickens nest on has decreased 84% from its historic range. So with the support of all 5 governors, the energy industry has hatched a conservation plan to protect the chicken population, all while maintaining oil and gas output. And that is good news for small game expert Jim Pittman, who has monitored the chicken population for years. But even he has issues with the data and the idea of listing the animal altogether.
The effects of those other features like oil and gas, secondary roads, wind turbines, for those particular features we have fairly sparse data or it's non-existent altogether.
And that fact has the energy industry crying foul. So what is so important about these birds that they need to be protected in the 5-state region?
They're a gallinaceous game bird, specifically a prairie grouse species that has a really unique mating strategy called a lecking species.
That's right, mating rituals. That's what makes the lesser prairie chicken a state treasure.
They're a game bird, first of all, and we represent sportsmen.
Exactly. Wildlife lovers like Jim Pittman are fighting to save this bird because...
And we have particular interest in game birds, and we want to maintain those populations of game birds in sufficient numbers to sustain a hunting season.
Saving the birds so that they can live to die another day. In Wichita, Kansas, Megan Lopez, RT.